network.
Hello everyone, this is the yusufchowdhury again, and today is the Meetup for WordPress, San Antonio WordPress Meetup right here in San Antonio, Texas. We are at the Anderson Marketing Group, and we have an awesome speaker, Wayne. Let me just face right there. Wayne, say hi. Thank you.
Hello.
All right, and you can, if anybody wants to look at all these awesome business owners. See that? Awesome people right there. They're all cool people, right? Came to learn tonight on how to build a plugin from scratch. If you're a coder, if you're a freelancer or developer, so this is the class for today. So enjoy, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and flip. Here we go. It's all yours, man.
Cool. All right. So I see some new faces. Welcome, everyone. Apologize for the internet situation, but I have somebody working on it. But I'm just gonna kind of give you guys, to start out, show you what I built yesterday in a couple hours. How many in here actually code?
No PHP.
Cool, cool. How many have ever built a WordPress plugin? Nobody, awesome. A little bit, okay, cool. That's what we want to hear. So the way that I started, I decided how would I want to learn this? And so I created a small plugin, which I would like to show you guys first, because I always learn better when I kind of see what it is that I'm about to build, and then we can actually dive into the code a little bit. Before we start, I do have a GitHub where I have this, and so if you go to github.com/wp-dev-solutions, you'll be able to pull this down.
Excuse me, Wayne. Steve tells me that if you have a PC that you need to change your authentication method, WPA with AES. I don't know.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that helps or if anybody knows with that.
I can connect it.
Not really, no. Does that make sense to anybody?
This is that we don't use WPS, which is what that pin method is.
Cool. So, oh no, I got people at the door.
Need to go downstairs.
Hello? Awesome. Okay. Are you at the side door? Do you notice if one of the doors is propped open, or are they both locked? It's both locked. Okay, great. All right. Well, I'll come down and get you. Thanks.
I'll be back.
Hey, Yusuf, you're gonna have to go to this door.
This door?
Yeah, but the only way that y'all can get back in is actually no.
Not the main entrance?
Yeah, it's this side entrance. Go back in this hallway.
Okay.
Back around that way. Antonio, the one that was just here, he can guide you down there. And there's like a little key fob that's on there.
Yeah.
You just put it up against the little thing.
So go here?
Yeah.
How long have you lost? Where are you?
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, anyways, I have this plugin for you guys to download later for most of you, and you can kind of tinker with it. But it's very, very simple. There's only a couple files here, two to be exact. And looking at the plugin in action, I've created a couple different things. So I wanted you guys to know that your plugin doesn't always have to just do one thing. You can have a couple different things going on. You can have multiple functionalities in one plugin. So in this case, I have created a quick contact dashboard widget. So this would be useful, obviously with a little bit more development, it would be useful for any of you who run businesses, or any of you who actually develop for other people and you want them to quickly be able to contact you. They're in the dashboard, they're on their website, something breaks, they feel like, hey, these people are really taking care of us here's some information, quickly contact. So not only will we make a plugin, but I'll show you how to add this little widget and prioritize it so that it's at the top. And then I also created a couple links up in the toolbar. So let me look at, I have it activated. If you guys go into your profile under users when you're on your dashboard, you can choose to turn on your toolbar. You can click show toolbar when viewing the site. That allows you to view the toolbar when you are on the front of your site, or where the people are viewing the site, not the back end. Let me see. When I refresh this, the toolbar will come in. So anyways, I have some links that are custom. For example, again, anywhere someone is on the dashboard, they can come in and click this contact and be able to quickly email you. Or I created this custom quick menu with drop downs so that either if you're a developer and you want to add some quick links that you know that there's going to be a couple different areas in your website that you're going to be going through the development process, you can click on these quick links, or you can create that for the users or the client. So in this case, I added, quickly go to the media, quickly go to add user, or quickly edit categories. And again, once you activate your toolbar on the front side of your website, you have all that stuff available to you as well. So I have a blank installation of WordPress using the 2016 theme. 2016 theme?
Yeah, 15.
15.
Yeah.
Damn, get ahead of myself.
I know.
With the 2015 theme, so you can see that this will work across, any WordPress installation that you create. So just to test that, I have a zipped version of my plugin, and again, you have to have your plugin zipped in order to upload it through the dashboard. So if you click on, let me deactivate this. So if you click on, add new from the plugins menu, and you're going to upload a plugin, and you can just grab and drag and drop on top of the choose file. It will go in place and you can install it. We'll activate it, and when it refreshes, you can see that it is in fact in the front side and back here, and if I go to the dashboard, you'll be able to see that widget that I created. Cool.
Is there a free zip program that you can use that you would recommend other than one that you paid for?
Well, you're on a PC. Let's see. I can't think of anything.
I use 7, so it'll do 17 files in addition to zip archives. It's just called 7-zip. So it'll handle tar archives. 7-zip.
So they're recommending 7-zip.
Yeah, that's what I use. 7-zip. Yep.
Cool. Welcome.
Coming in.
There's some extra chairs over there on the side.
I got lost.
No problem. All right, so that's cool. We were able to create something, but now we actually need to look at the code and find out how did we create it. So I'm going to go back into the plugins and delete this so that we can start from scratch. All right, so I do this every meetup, but I talk a little bit about C9, Cloud9. I don't know if anybody uses it, but it's a service where you can actually create, you can develop on their servers, and you can collaborate with other people if you have a team. For example, here we have a couple different developers that I work with, and we all need to work on the same project. And I can literally, if we're working on the same file, I can literally see them working on that file. I can see them typing. It has chat capabilities, so if we're not, we're working remotely, we can talk to each other about the code. So it's free. There's a paid version if you need more space, and this is where I'm going to be developing. So it's basically a text editor or an IDE, and right now I have the file tree for that fresh install that I created. And so what we want to do is we want to go into the WP content folder, and then you're going to see a couple different folders inside of there. Anybody who develops on WordPress already or works with themes, you're used to going into themes and seeing the different theme folders. Well, we're going to go into plugins, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder inside of the plugins folder, and we're going to name it quick-contact. You can name it whatever you want. Oops, I created a file. Shame on me. So we're creating a folder. Quick contact. Now there's some naming specifications. You're not supposed to have it uppercase, so everything lowercase and no spaces. So use either dashes or underscores. So what this does is it just creates the shell that we're going to keep our plugin files in. And then I'll open this up. And then essentially all we need is one PHP file, and what I did was I added a CSS file, which isn't required, but I wanted to be able to kind of style it so you guys could see. Alright. So I'm going to create another naming convention. For most of what you do with your PHP files or any of the functions that you create inside of the plugin, you want to add some kind of prefix to it. The reason for that is so that you don't conflict with anybody else's development. There's so many people out there building themes and plugins, and they're all naming things. You're bound to create a function that is the same name as someone else's function. So what they recommend is that you create some kind of prefix that you want to use. In my case, my initials are WHAM, so I always put WHAM in front of everything. So I'm going to follow this construct here, and I'm going to create a new file. It's going to be a new PHP file, and I'm naming it. And in this case, I'm using underscores to separate spaces. So it's going to be wham underscore quick. Oh, I can't see that. Underscore contact dot PHP. And I'll open that up and it's blank. So right now, I've bypassed having to upload this into my plugins. You know, I didn't have to go back to the dashboard and say add new plugin, upload file. I'm doing that step by editing this inside of the file tree. So if I was to go over to the plugins right now, I wouldn't see this yet, because there's only really one thing that you have to do in order to tell WordPress these aren't just folders and files. I actually want to declare this as a plugin. So we need to open this up. So hopefully everyone knows that any PHP file, you want to start with your opening PHP bracket. And then this information right here, which you can get from the codex. Let's see. somewhere. Yeah, somewhere in there. All that.
Somewhere in the WordPress.org.
All that
right?
stuff. Anyways, they'll give you kind of a blank plugin comment, which is basically what this is right here. So all I did was add my information to it. So the things that are required are simply the plugin name. Actually, the plugin name is really the only thing that's required, and that's gonna name the plugin on the viewer side. So if I'm on the dashboard, when I look at my plugins after I've saved this, I'll be able to see this title. So you want to write this in a way that you would want people to see it. So not all lowercase, it's going to be like a title. So in this case, I wrote Wham, quick contact. I could say plugin if I wanted to, just to make it different from this one over here. And then the plugin URI is the URL where you have the plugin, which if you don't have a website where you're keeping all of this stuff, don't worry about it. If you have, you know, a development site where you keep all of your work and you just want to put that up there. In my case, I blog on wpdevsolutions.com, and that's where I keep all of my training stuff. And then you can give your plugin a description. So I'm going to go back over to the plugins here. So let's look at Hello Dolly. So Hello Dolly is the plugin name, which is this one right here. And then the plugin description is all this stuff. Oops. So whatever you give your description here, that's going to show up on the front side. And then for those of you who will be building plugins and then building on top of those plugins and advancing those plugins, it's always best if you keep a version. In this case, I'm just starting out, so it's 1.0. Then you want to put your name for the author, or if you collaborate with people, make sure you put everybody in there. The author URI is in case you have a separate website for each person that is developing with you. And then the license, which is not required, but if you go into plugin development and you start selling your plugins, you have to go under like an open source license. And there's a couple different ones that you can use, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So if I save this, I should be able to refresh my dashboard and actually see this now as an option. And there it is down here at the bottom. So you'll see all those different areas. My version is 1.0. This plugin is by me, and the author URI is actually the link that gets put in here. So if I click on this, it'll go to my website. And then the view details is where the plugin URI will go. That's all the little plugin secrets. So now this isn't activated, but I can go ahead and activate it. Nothing's going to happen. We haven't put any meat to the code in there yet. But we've been able to create our first plugin, guys.
Wow.
Cool. So I'm going to open this back up. I think I have it in here somewhere. Here it is. So I'm going to go into the first function. And now I don't really want this session to be really heavy with coding. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna go over some stuff, especially for those who don't have a lot of PHP experience. Let's just do this. Oh. There we go. So what just happened there, I realized that I did not end, you know how in pretty much every language, coding language, you have to open something and you have to close something. So I didn't close my comment, and so it was commenting all this out. So the first thing I'm going to do here at the top is I'm going to add the contact option to the toolbar. So we already looked at that over here. So this is the contact option that's up in the toolbar. So we're going to create that. That can be done by basically adding an action and giving that action a function to run. Now, something that is really advanced, which is filters and actions. Those are something that you really want to go and research because they allow you to either do things or grab onto things that are already happening in WordPress and change them, manipulate them, and that's what a lot of plugins do. They take the normal functionality of WordPress and they kind of enhance it or they change it. That stuff gets really, really advanced, and to be honest with you, I don't build plugins for a living. I'm a front-end developer and I build themes for clients for a living. So I recommend that you guys look into it. And I know for a fact that Treehouse, come on Treehouse, give me some love. Team Treehouse has a really awesome hooks and filters video, which I started and I haven't finished yet, but it's pretty neat so far. I expect $10,000 for that one. Just kidding. So anyways.
Started in Theme Forest.
There you go. So essentially what this is doing, which I'm not sure why it's written this way, it can be written both ways, but this add action basically says we're going to, I want you to do the following. So you can actually add action, or you can add the add action line, which is this line right here. It can go underneath the function if you want it to. A lot of people put it at the top, personal preference, whatever. So what this first string is doing, it's basically connecting to some kind of function that's in the codex somewhere, that's saying, hey WordPress, when you get to firing all the functions that control the admin bar menu, I want you to add a function to it so that that function will run as well. In this case, I've written a function called wham underscore toolbar underscore quick underscore contact. And this number right here is basically it tells WordPress where you want to put that drop down or that link. So you can give it a range of 0 to whatever. The lower the number, the further to the left it will be. The higher the number, the more priority it will get, and it'll be closer to the right of the toolbar. So in this case, I have both of these as far over as I can, going from left to right. So again, this is WordPress is going to run. It's going to say, oh wait, there's a function that's supposed to run whenever admin bar function fires, and it's going to run this function down here. So in PHP, we start out function, we give it a name. In this case, it's going to use this variable WP underscore admin bar, which again is somewhere in the codex. But basically, this is saying it's an object, and an object contains all the information that you need to start working with. Then you're going to create a variable called args and set it equal to an array, and this is where you're able to customize what you want it to say, what ID it is, and where you want it to link out to. Also, you have to use this this same object here. You're going to be adding a node, which basically adds this little element right here. and you're going to be passing in the args array, which is what we just created, so that we can say, cool, we added this node, but what do you want me to do with it? What are my specifications? Well, I'm going to be reading this args, which is saying, I need to give this an ID of quick_contact. I want the title, or what people are going to read, to say contact WP Dev Guru. By the way, I have WP.guru.
Yeah.
WPDev.guru.
You got the dot guru extension.
And I was like, oh no, Yusuf hates when people call themselves gurus. Anyways.
The one that you talked about, Treehouse, that's like the Linda, but for coding, right?
That's right.
Like $25 a month, you learn all the coding. Okay.
Dang, you're trying to get some money
Yeah.
too.
Do you have an affiliate link? Let me show my affiliate link.
Affiliate, sign up.
Yeah. It's called, the website, I think it's teamtreehouse.com.
Yeah. Cool, and then the href, that's going to control the link where you want that to go. So in my case, I built this on my development site, my portfolio site, which is majorly under construction right now. But I wanted to be able to display it in relation. So let's say I build a website, then I can add this plugin in there so that they can quickly contact me if they need any help. Or if they're trying to do certain things, they can quickly add media or create new users. Or you can customize this so that your client or your customer can do whatever it is you know that they're going to be doing regularly. And if there's one thing that I've learned in this industry, pro tip number one, if you can build your back end or the dashboard and really highly modify it so that it's super easy for them to use, they're not going to want to go anywhere else. They're going to want to stick with you, because whoever built their prior website, they didn't know how to find anything. Everything was in widgets and in all these different, footers and all these different places, and they would have to go and find where they needed to put content with certain functions and adding a lot of functionality to the dashboard. You can really customize it so that everything is just plain. I know exactly where I need to go to change this information. Anyway, so again, talking about the href, this would go to my website and it would go to my contact page. Cool. So if I save this and then I go back over to this website and I refresh, I now have just this contact. And if I click on that, it's going to take me to that page, which probably a 404 page. What do you mean with hair?
What happened there?
Oh, I started balding.
Oh, wow.
So I shaved it. All right.
Should do a commercial for Gillette.
Right. Cool. All right. Now, that's pretty simple, I guess. Did a lot of that make sense? I already offended someone, so they left. Cool. All right. So now we're going to copy that same approach, but I'm going to show you guys how to.
Now, did you write these, or you just copy? Where do you get these from?
You don't need to know, Yusuf. You don't need to know. No, I'm a big believer in borrowing code.
There you
and
go.
not all of this code is borrowed. I did write some of it, but there are a lot of things that are already done for you, and that's your pro tip number 2. If there's stuff that's already done for you,
Copy
Why
it.
you have to?
don't reinvent the wheel. I'm a big believer, which I read recently that some people don't are myths, but a lot of people say don't have a lot of plugins in your theme because it bogs down the theme. Well, that is in fact true and false.
Yeah.
Depending on how many different files are being on-queued, different external links that are being used, all of that stuff adds to the load time of your website. And so I try to use as few plugins as possible, and I try to build as much functionality into the theme itself Some people would say, well, what happens when you change themes? Well, don't change themes because I built this custom for you. But that's always, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, that's always a good option.
Good thing, right?
Yeah. So copying code. Most of this stuff I was able to find elsewhere, but it wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, so I kind of modified it.
So where do you copy it from? Like another source, .org or?
Yusuf, you ask a lot of questions, man. How about, so I can drive traffic to my website, I'll write a blog post about it, and I'll put some cool
There you go.
links in there. Look at you, Yusuf.
There you go, man. Just helping you out, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to extend basically what we just created because I now want to create a link, but I want it to be a drop down so that I can offer you more options. So I'm going to paste this in underneath here, and we're going to see a lot of the same things. Excuse me. So again, we're using this add action to say when the admin bar menu function is run in the core of WordPress, hook onto it, and we're going to write a new function to run. Make sure that they're not the same name, otherwise it will either break or not work. And you'll notice that I gave this 1,000 so that it will be to the right of the last one. In this case, I created a variable called options menu instead of args, and I set it equal to an array of a bunch of arrays. So in this case, this first array, or I should say the second array, you're setting up the ID and the title just like the last one, but I didn't want this one to link out anywhere. I just wanted you to be able to click on it and then have a drop down come down and you can see all the different options. So this ID in this case is really important because we're going to be using a parent structure down here, and we need to say this is basically the new drop down, and I want it to be under the parent of quick menu. So here I've given this one an idea of add_media. The title is add media. The href I'm going to talk a little bit about so that you know exactly where to go to grab these paths. And then again, the parent for all three of these here, for all three of my drop downs, they all three need to have, oh, I don't have it there, never mind. All three of these need to have the parent of quick menu so that you know that it's going to be underneath this one. And then in this case, I'm running a for each loop, which runs, it takes each one of these option menus and it saves it out as individual menus, and then again it adds the node using the options menu. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Let me save that. Oh, it's me with hair again. 404. Alright, so if I refresh this, I now have the quick menu. Again, I can't click on this one, we didn't give it an href. And then we have the ability to add media, add user, or edit categories. Now, just for fun, I'm going to copy this href and I'm going to put it here, because we love cut and paste. Let's see, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a quick link for pages instead. Now notice I'm not changing the ID of this. I'm just going to say that this is going to be pages, and it's not going to take me to upload, it's going to take me to something different. So we want to go find out, well, what is it? What do I need to be linking to? So in this case, I'm going to hover over pages, and if you look down here at the bottom where Periscope cannot see, and most of you guys probably can't see, there's a little URL down here at the bottom, and it says wp-admin/edit.php ? Post type equals page. So what I want to do is copy all of that stuff behind WP admin. So it was edit.php, I think. Question mark post underscore type. Equals page. All right. So now, if I refresh this, now this has changed to pages. It's now a link, and if I click on it, it's going to show me all my pages. Now you can do that with pretty much all of these. So if you want to quickly add a new page, in this case it is post-new.php question mark post underscore type equals page. That's a mouthful. But anything after your URL and after WP admin, that's what you would write. And the way that I'm doing it here is this admin URL is a function that's given to us. So that takes care of me having to write it out all the time. That also helps in case I move this plugin to another theme. If I hard code the URL where I built it and then I try to use it on another theme at a different domain, it's not going to work because it's using that other URL. So this keeps it dynamic. So cool, we did all that stuff. Let's go back. One at a time. Okay. So I'm going to take out this href because I didn't want this to be a link. Just want to be able to click on it and have a drop down. And there we go. So each one of these, you'll notice, to upload or quickly get to your media folder, it's upload.php, which is a lot nicer than all that other stuff. This one for adding a new user is user-new.php, and this crazy long one down here is to edit categories, which is edit-tags.php question mark taxonomy equals category. Cool. All right. Do you have any questions? I don't want to offend anybody else, so ask questions.
Q&A time.
Next, I'm going to show you how to pull in script files or style sheets into your plugins, because it's not done the same. Well, it's similar to the same way that you do it in the theme, but there's some differences.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Okay, the references there are for PHP files or WP admin directory.
Correct.
Okay. How would you tell it if you were trying to reference a different from a different directory? Because you didn't put in the absolute path in that file. So how do you get it to reference if it's in a different directory?
Like, are you talking about to like go into your WP includes, or
like that portion there that you're writing is part of your plugin?
Yeah.
So the file you're working on here is obviously inside your plugin directory, but you're referring to a file that's actually in the WP admin directory.
Correct. Yeah. So this function right here, this add, and we can actually look it up in the code. I'm sorry.
It's one of the core files. But I was just curious, make sure if you're trying to get it, if you're doing something like that, trying to reference a different PHP file.
You would have to write your own. It's like a built-in function.
Yeah,
It's just standardized.
You wouldn't want to.
So if you're doing your own, you write a different function. But I think that's
Okay,
That's what
and then you have to make a hook then to get it to reference that way?
Basically.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's basically what that admin is, right? It's a hook.
Mhm.
It's like a built-in hook.
Yeah. So we can read here. The admin URL template tag retrieves the URL to the admin area for the current site with the appropriate protocol, HTTPS if it is SSL, and HTTP otherwise. So in this case, there's pretty much anything that you want to access through the dashboard, any kind of function that's available to you in the dashboard, going to any one of these options, it lives, all those functions, all that code lives inside of your WP-admin folder in your file tree, right? So this is just a quick way of saying, hey, I want to get in there. Now, I think the only other places to go would be your WP content folder or your WP includes folder. So I think what you're saying is, how would you get into those if you wanted to? Is that what you're saying?
Or if you were referring to a file you had written.
File that
which
you
was
had written.
included
In the plugins folder, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
and we're kind of,
That's what you. Because I was wondering that too. And I think that's what we're going to talk about with on-queuing.
yeah,
Or like.
So right here,
includes.
basically when you're on queuing, in this case, I'm going to be pulling in a style sheet. And that style sheet is something that's inside of my plugin, which it's not there yet. So let's go ahead and create it real quick. So I'm going to create a new file, and I called it widgets.css. And it's currently empty. So in this case, I'm pulling in, I'm using the WP onQ style, and you can use WP onQ script if you're doing a .js file or any other kind of script file. In this case, I'm pulling in a CSS file, so I'm going to use style, and then you give it a name, and then in this case, the path, you have to use this plugin URL, open single quotes, and then this file thingy. 2 underscores, the word file capitalized, and then 2 more underscores. And that gives you the path to your...
Is that a set constant that refers to where that...
Exactly.
Okay.
So that will be no matter what website you upload this to, it's going to use this function, and it's going to say, what is your plugin URL? So it's going to go through the whole entire structure, and it's going to get into your plugins folder, and then it's going to go into the file that it's in, and it's going to look for this /widgets.css. So this part right here refers to this folder right here, and then of course you want to go into the widgets.css folder, and then using the same add action, but instead we're adding this to whenever WordPress runs the admin onQ scripts, this is where we want to hook into that, and we're going to be passing in the name of our function so that that function will run, and when that runs, it will pull in our file. So our file is empty right now. I think I have to put Sublime on this computer, man. Alright, I just deleted that just so that I can drag this one in real quick. Alright, so if I save that, most of those styles in that CSS file, they were only controlling the dashboard widget, which we don't have in there yet. So that's what we're going to move into right now. And I'm going to go into the CSS a little bit in a little while, just because I want you to know how you would find out what IDs or classes you would be hooking into in order to give it style. Cool. All right. So now this next section is pretty long. Paste it down here. All right. So we're starting out by creating a function and giving it the name wham underscore register underscore dashboard underscore widget. And for anyone who's not familiar with writing PHP functions, there's always some things that I wondered when I would research PHP and working with WordPress, and I'm like, how much of this stuff could I change, and how much of it needs to stay the same? And I guess what I'm trying to say is like, in this case, I can name this function whatever I want. So if I find some code online, I can edit the name of the function as long as I make sure that I edit that function name in all the right places that it needs to go. So just so you know, anytime you pull something from the internet that you're looking at, typically function names can be changed as long as you know where that function name is being used elsewhere, and so you can modify it to whatever you want.
Does their IDE have like in Sublime, I use Control D to select it, so I can select all instances and then I just change it at one time?
This one has this one has a find and replace.
While it's open, it'll select all the.
This one has a find and replace, so I can look for it. I notice that there's 2, and then I can type whatever it is that I want, and I can either replace individually. I know that this what is it called that it uses? I ran across this, basically it's short codes or shortcuts when writing HTML and CSS, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's built into C9, so you can do really cool things like I can do div ul li times 3 and then tab. Oh, come on, don't make a liar out of me. Okay, well maybe it's in the paid version. But anyways, what that would have done when I clicked tab is it would have given me my structure really quickly.
Like 3 line items or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. And you can even do, like, if you did div dot whatever the class name is, it would build out that structure and everything. I can't remember what it's called.
Like when you hit tab, does it automatically like flesh it out, or is it just, or do you have to compile it or anything like you would with like a SAS file or something like that?
No, it just, yeah, it just does it. I'm assuming, because on the, oh, you know what I can do? We have a paid version of this for the agency. And I know that it works in there. We're learning new stuff that I don't know what it's called, but we're going to learn it. HTML file. 1 minute. All right, let's see if I can do it here. div duo. There it is. Whoa, Periscope lost it.
Getting drunk.
Yeah, so I just wrote it all out for you.
Excuse me, wait.
Yes.
So this is Cloud9, and you're logged into your account.
Uh-huh.
If somebody else was logged into the same account, they'll be able to see what you're doing here.
Yep.
No, I would assume if you're working in the same branch, that only applies. Because you could have people working on their own branch, because you put this in a Git repo, and then you would be able to work on your own branch separately.
This is actually, it doesn't eliminate the need for having a Git repository for this stuff, but it's its own server, and so we're all logging into the same server and working, so it's always the most current version.
Okay.
So there's no need for you to pull it down,
Yeah.
make sure that you have pull down the most current branch and then start working on it. It's always the
Update.
current version, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And I can actually see there'll be different icons up here telling me who's signed in, and it'll tell me what file they're working in, and I can open that file and I can watch them coding. We can actually code in the same window if we want to. Yeah. I don't want to. All right, sorry. I know that was kind of random, but that's another cool perk of. And I think Sublime. I think you can get it for Sublime too. Okay. Anyways. So now we're connecting to this global variable, which is basically allowing us to get all of the information, kind of like we did up here with this WP admin bar variable. You may even be familiar with like just the post variable, which pulls in like the post object. This is pulling in the meta boxes, which is what's used on the dashboard. So we're going to use this function WP add dashboard widget. We're going to give it an ID, and then this is the title of the widget, and then the function that we want to run. And then that function that we want to run is actually written down here. So let me save this, go back and refresh this really quickly so we can see that in this case, need assistance, contact us is the title, and that shows up right here. So you're able to take control of these titles right here. This stuff was a little confusing to me right here, and this is in fact some code that I straight up copied. But this bit of code right here basically forces your dashboard widget to be at the top. And in the tutorial they kind of explain that this is kind of it's not something that they've really worked out in WordPress yet, so I would just kind of look at it when you download this file. And then we're using this add action, which you're seeing. We use that a lot in any kind of plugin development and sometimes in theme development. But again, we're adding on to an action that's already happening, where we're setting up when WordPress is setting up the dashboard and all the widgets, we're going to run this function saying, hey, wait, we want to add a widget and we want it to be forced to the top. And we want it to run this function, and this function is written down here. And in the function, all we're doing is displaying the HTML that we want to show up in here. So when I was doing this tutorial yesterday at 9 p.m., I really wanted to make this a lot more dynamic than I was able to. But I was thinking, we could add in this case, I just added in some simple copy about, hey, you're important to us, these are our business hours, here's a link to your phone number. And then I was thinking, hey, it would be cool if I was able to create some areas when you install the plugin. There would be a settings area that would show up.
Can we maybe go over that next time? Because
Yeah.
that's what I'd like to know is how to like input metadata to
Exactly.
pull the plugin.
So I'd like to have an area where it would create a settings area, and then you would be able to go in and say, all right, I want to upload, here's my business logo, I want to add in my telephone number, my email address, so that this plugin can be customized and you don't have to go into the code. Maybe you want to add your social media icons or anything like that. That's somewhere where I wanted to go, but I didn't have enough time. But for the most part, in this area, and what's cool about this plugin is it's you guys can grab it and take it and add on to it. And I'd actually love to see what you guys come up with. What kind of information would you put in your widget? How would you spin this? That would be pretty neat. Yeah.
Going back to includes, like, do you have to use that plugins _ URL parentheses? Do you have to use that like almost like in functions.php when you use get child directory or whatever? Do we have to use that if we're pulling in stuff from other PHP files, or does PHP automatically recognize other functions from other PHP files included in that directory?
Well, I think that kind of gets into like the global functions. There's certain functions that you can set to be global and recognized across.
So I guess like, because in functions.php to include stuff, you have to like initialize it, right?
Yes.
So do you have to do that in a plugin?
I have no idea.
Okay. I was just curious because I think that's what you were asking, right? It's like, how do you pull in PHP from other areas within the directory?
Yeah, if it is
sure.
predetermined name of the directory, and how is it knowing which upload.php and where the hell is it?
Yeah, so I know that like if you were trying to hook on to something that was already happening in WordPress, you would obviously either hook on using an add action or a filter. So being able to hook on to like WooCommerce stuff,
It's going to include it in what they call Blue.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you were trying to hook onto stuff like that, but if it's other functions that you've written in another theme or the theme that's activated, and you want to just hook on to some of that stuff, that I'm not really sure. But that's good because then I have some homework and I can figure that out for next time. But for the most part, if you're trying to pull in a file within your plugin, then you're going to use the plugin URL.
I mean, most stuff I'm doing anyways right now, I'm not really using MP. It's mostly JavaScript files I'm pulling in with a monkey. But I was just curious because I've seen that theme development, and I'm like, some of these frameworks that I work with, there's like includes, and then I have to really search. So a lot of times for me, it just helps to understand that. So when I'm looking to manipulate something, I can find where that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Cool. Well, so we've basically created all the functionality, and again, some of these, like this functionality and this functionality are relative. But this quick menu, I mean, that could have been a plugin on its own. But we don't have to do that. We can, create it all. And in some of the research I did, it was saying, the functions.php file and creating a plugin, there's really, I don't want to say there's no difference, but I mean, you can think about the way that you're developing and decide, is this something that, is this functionality I want to add into a theme that potentially the theme will change? Then you want to add that as a plugin, because if you think that a couple months down the road your client or you are going to like change the theme that you're using, then that functionality that you built into your functions.php file is going to be gone because it was built into the theme and you've changed your theme. But with a plugin, that functionality is going to stay there. So thinking about custom post types. Custom post types give you the ability to add on menu items here on the side and give you the same kind of functionality that you have with posts, where you can have different lists of things. Let's say portfolio. You can have different portfolio pieces, and you can categorize them differently using taxonomies. So if that's some functionality that you want to be theme agnostic, then you can build that register of the post type and the taxonomies into a plugin and take that wherever you want to go. So again, like the deciding whether you want to build this into your theme or build a plugin, it's really dependent on, do you want to be able to take this and change the theme out and still have that functionality, or can you just go ahead and build it into the theme? Well, that's it, guys. Any other questions? Any?
Yes, but anything interesting, I'm going to figure it all out tonight.
Yeah. Again, for anybody who didn't get it, and for the Periscope, if they didn't get it, I have a GitHub, and it only has one thing on it, and it's for you guys. It's github.com/WPDevSolutions. Plugging myself, I have a tutorial blog for WordPress called WPDevSolutions.com, and I want you to go there, and I want everyone to click on these banners. Just click and click and click and click. Just kidding.
Somebody even posted the link.
Yeah? Cool, thanks. So I actually just wrote this last week on how to use WP query, but a lot of this is the way that I try to write. I try to write so that anyone can understand what's going on, hopefully, but it is specifically all about development and some cool events that I've gone to and stuff like that. And then I also have a personal website for my development, which is wpdev.guru, and it doesn't look like this actually. This is what, after a little bit more work, it's going to look kind of like this. This is my staging environment. But anyways, that's me. If you guys have any questions, I've worked out, apparently I had some like contact form issues on my website, and I've worked those out. So I noticed like way back when you had posted something, and I never heard anything about it. And I was like,
I thought you responded to me. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah,
I didn't remember.
I know I had hollered at you a while back because I came across something, and I was wondering about that.
But
it was Cloud9 when we were
Yeah,
talking about that. Dude, I still have not been able to get it to work.
Weird. Well, I've gotten the contact form and commenting, so feel free to come in and comment on any blog posts or contact me. I recommend, since WPDev.guru is under construction right now, contact me through WP Dev Solutions. Cool. So next topic, next month we'll go ahead and continue plugin. We'll try to get a little bit more advanced, and then no more plugins because I don't know how to do plugins. Just kidding. We'll get into some other cool things. I would like to do a tutorial on using advanced custom fields, and really kind of a basic and then a deep dive. That's a plugin. It's one of the, like I said, I don't like to use a lot of plugins, but that's the plugin that you'll always see in my development because it just makes things so much easier and it gives so much functionality. Man, I'm just like throwing out all kinds of good goodies today. Cool. All right, thank you guys. I know that the internet situation was crazy, and hopefully if we can keep getting more and more people like this, we'll start having it maybe out at your place in the Dominion.
You want to go
In
to
the Dominion.
The Dominion.
So that you guys can have internet in a bigger space.
You guys have any questions? Y'all good?
Yeah, well, hope you guys enjoyed. There are refreshments. There's some water and soda. Feel free to grab one on the way out.
Thank you for posting those links. We appreciate it, and thank you for the hearts as well. Yeah, this is a little bit advanced, but for those freelancers and coders, but this was a beginner's class actually for how to build a plugin. Thank you so much for staying with us for an hour. Wow, you guys are like very patient, watching the whole thing. So thank you so much. All right, so if you guys have any question, please comment. We'll check in the Twitter, reply back to you with all the links that Wayne shared. Okay, so thank you.